It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Well, a good day, everybody, and welcome to the program. It is Countywide. Brad Miller with you, and happy to welcome into studio Lisa O'Neill. Lisa is a board member of the Clarkdale Historical Society and Museum, and we say good morning to you.
Good morning, Brad.
Happy to have you come by. It's always fun to talk about historical events and things that are happening in the community, and right up front, and then later again we'll repeat. But on September 2nd, it's Labor Day weekend. Friday will be September 2nd of that holiday weekend. Going to be a special guest, part of a series, a long-running series through the Historical Society. Can you tell me a little about that?
Absolutely. Furman Estrada is a local. His parents were here, and I'm not sure beyond that, but I've known Furman for a long time. He was one of the excellent car attendants on the Verde Canyon Railroad after a long career in the military and in Phoenix Cement. But in the early 60s, when he just got out of the military, he courted a young woman named Bea Alvarez, who lived along the banks of the Verde River on her family ranch. And this ranch was homesteaded probably back in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. If you ride the train, the Verde Canyon Railroad, they'll show you where it is because it's still part of the history of the canyon. They grew a lot of produce for the miners in Jerome. They had horses, they had cattle, little bit of everything, very self-sufficient. He's got great photographs, and he's just an all-around charming guy.
Yeah. And that's what we seem to run into. Again, that comes up on September 2nd, and we'll kind of come back to that. I believe that a lot of folks in our communities, not just Clarkdale, but Verde Valley, Yavapai County really at large, certainly we enjoy a more rural lifestyle. A lot of people live the farm ranch lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Chickens in the yard and things like that. But I think a lot of us here have a really keen sense of and appreciation for local history. Do you, from your chair, you must see a lot of that.
I absolutely do. In fact, in Clarkdale, historical preservation always comes up on what our community is interested in. So Clarkdale has started a historic preservation commission that reports directly to the town manager and thence to the town council. Clarkdale, if you just walk into it, you're walking into yesterday. It's gorgeous. Yeah. And the people there appreciate it.
Yeah. I live in Clarkdale. Uptown. Couldn't be more proud of it. Love it. The sense of what's there. My house was built in 1926.
Yeah, mine was 1917.
Yeah, and just having those kinds of things, it's lovely to go back and see some of the photographs, like of Gazebo Park, and I thought, well, there's no trees. I didn't recognize it. I was like, what am I looking at? It says Clarkdale, and then I realized, well, it's because the trees are only recently planted, or just haven't gone full growth yet, or whatever it is. But I really think, I don't know how many people kind of move here because of our history, but it really seems to me, just with neighbors and friends, that many of us do have that kind of an appreciation. We love to tell our family back east when it's snowing on them.
Right.
Right. Here's who lived in my house, or here's, some of the kinds of things, some of the colorful and tall stories that have happened, the bank robbery and things like that. Talk to me a little bit about the, you mentioned the commission. What is kind of the intended goal there to beyond, how, if at all, is that separate from the museum itself and its kind of mission?
Well, it is separate from the museum because it's a town committee, or a town board rather. So you have to be in the museum. We take volunteers. We love volunteers. Anybody wants to volunteer, we're going to find you a spot where we will hope to make you happy. The Historic Preservation Commission is more technical and advisory. For example, Clarkdale is redoing the cooling system in the auditorium, which is where our First Fridays are held, along with a lot of other programs and events.
Sure.
So the Historic Preservation Commission looked at, can we recess the ductwork without getting into any other problems,
Yeah.
so that it's not so visible, so it doesn't look out of incongruous to its age.
Yeah, gotcha.
The gazebo, which you mentioned before, up in the Uptown Park, it needs a lot of renovation, and so the town hired a historical architect, and he's also looking at the rest of the town-owned buildings in the town complex.
Right.
So the Historic Preservation Commission looks at, can we keep these buildings true to form
Right.
and keep them safe?
And that's got to be more challenging than it sounds, because a lot of times you think, well, let's nail down the loose boards and another coat of paint and away we go. And like all of us, we all get older, and whether it's a building or a sidewalk or anything of a historic significance, we want to kind of protect that, but also in its most original form as we can. Now, there's, Americans with Disabilities Act issues,
right.
and as time marches on, does that make it harder to preserve historically buildings, sites, ruins?
I'm not an expert on that. You're far afield. However,
Okay.
in my experience, yes, it does, because you have to put a ramp. Do you put a ramp on the gazebo?
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Exactly. And what does that do to the appearance of it and the effectiveness of it? Can you still use it as a bandstand?
Right. And it's a balance.
It is a balance.
It's just kind of a tiny illustration of bigger issues that come up, and that's why the Historical Society and Museum, I think, probably is partially in operation. Talk to me about some of the other the First Friday presentation that Furman Estrada is going to be a part of. That's an ongoing series, correct?
It is an ongoing series. We took a little hiatus in the summertime because of the air conditioning issue in the auditorium, which is where our First Fridays are presented. We are going to have Dr. Maurice Crandall in October, on October 7th, which is the First Friday. He's going to, fascinating topic, Tiger of the Human Species, U.S. Army Indian Scouts and the Making of Yavapai Apache Society.
Okay.
So that's going to be a really good one as well. On November 4th, Ginny Chanda is going to talk about the foundation of Yavapai College in the Verde Valley. And we've got another, so we generally take December off because people tend to be out of town and
it's
busy.
Busy time.
But we'll start up with a new slate in January, and we're planning to go all summer long.
Okay.
Some of the other activities that the museum has is on the third Wednesday of every month, we give a guided tour of the Clark Memorial Clubhouse. That's great. It's free. Takes about an hour. You don't have to make a reservation. You just meet up in the parking lot in front of the men's lounge. If you don't know where the men's lounge is, you just look at all the signage. It's pretty clear.
You can kind of find it on the
One thing we're very
campus.
excited about is our museum has been closed for the past couple years because all of our volunteers are my age or better.
Okay.
So COVID was quite a blow.
Sure.
Nobody wants to see grandma die for the sake of tourism.
You bet.
We are opening again during Clarktoberfest, which is the first Saturday in October this year.
Right.
We're very excited. We got the museum painted recently, the interior, thanks to contributions from a lot of members and non-members. Also, local authors often contribute to us because we're a resource for their research.
Yeah.
Photos, you mentioned historic photos before. We have a treasure trove. So we're redoing the museum. It won't be perfect when we do our soft opening, but it'll give everybody an idea of what it's going to look like. There are some new exhibits. We're so looking forward to welcoming people back.
History tells us everything is a work in progress. So why not the museum? All right, let's take a short break. Again, we're talking with Lisa O'Neill. Lisa's a board member with the Clarkdale Historic Society and Museum. ClarkdaleMuseum.org. Good
Correct.
website. Take a look there for some additional information about some of the things that we're talking about here today. We'll be back with Lisa O'Neill on Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones Financial Advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley for 38 years, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust, designed, engineered, and built in the USA. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates on systems that are quiet and affordable. Verde Solaire is locally owned since 1983 and available for all your heating, air conditioning, and plumbing needs. Call 928-567-5315. Visit them online at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Taxes, taxes, taxes.
It's that time again. This is Lewis with Rice Accounting Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. We don't sell cars, we don't do hair or wait tables. We do taxes. At Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, we talk taxes and we prepare taxes. Open year-round for tax filings. Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, located throughout northern Arizona. For over 20 years, our local preparers have helped neighbors pay their fair share and no more.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service in the Tri-Cities at 772-7872. That's 772-7872.
We welcome you back to the program. Brad Miller with you, and again, it is county-wide, and we're happy to have in studio today Lisa O'Neill, a board member with the Clarkdale Historical Society and Museum. And again, coming up October, the museum reopening, grand opening.
We're calling it a soft opening.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. We'll mention that again before we wrap up. ClarkdaleMuseum.org, the website. Always, you mentioned volunteers. Do we actively try to cultivate volunteers, or where are we with that? And then, frankly, additional, resources, be they monetary, or do you encourage people to say, hey, someone has dug through Grandpa's shed and found old photos? Or how do you kind of sort through what might have a local significance historically to other things that perhaps don't? Well,
we accept things that are pertinent to Clarkdale only.
Okay.
However, if somebody, for example, somebody recently gave us a really gorgeous pen and ink drawing that was done by a Jerome artist, we offered it back to Jerome. We don't throw anything away, ever.
Sure.
Things that are relevant to Clarkdale that we don't have goes to our committee. They say yay or nay. They verify it, research it, get the story.
Yeah.
But we encourage people to please let us know what you got, and we'll take care of it.
And can folks, as they visit the museum, I don't want to confuse the issue. We think of a library as a place that we can go study, learn. We can also check things out. I'm assuming that things of historical significance at the museum cannot be removed, but can be viewed. Historical documents can be read. How does that work for a visitor?
Well, we have a bookshelf that was organized by a wonderful volunteer. So it's got things like ranching, the smelter, mining, the train, neighborhoods, things like that. If you know, for example, your house, we probably have the blueprints to your house.
Really?
And all you have to do is send us a message. The first half hour or so of research is free. After that, we say, we're going to have to dig deeper, or we couldn't find it. And then it's a very low fee. I think it's about $20-25 for a half hour. Photos, we make them available to museum members, and museum membership is negligible. It's been so long since I joined. Please don't ask me what it costs. I just renew every year. The renewal comes out automatically. So we encourage people to be members because we will tell you what the resources are that are pertinent to you.
Sure.
Also, you mentioned our website. Our website has every single annual class yearbook from all Clarkdale schools, and that includes the Jerome High School because Clarkdale residents went to school in Jerome. It includes the current Jerome School, Clarkdale School. Mm-hmm. There's High-Low, there's the Alchemist, there's yearbooks going back, I think, to the 40s. We also have phone books, so you can see who lived where. That's always interesting. But also you can see who the advertisers were.
Yeah, those are fun.
Those are fun.
Those
and
are
what
really
kind of
right.
language did they use?
Right.
who supported the school forever. There are some families around here that have just been so supportive of all civic groups for the longest time.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see.
I read an article, it's been a little while ago, talking about what a treasure trove school yearbooks can be.
Absolutely.
Because everything is very accurately time-stamped in days before we did that on every photograph that we took. You'll know at least a year of when certain kinds of things happen, and it can help you age, and it can help you. It's a real resource. Of course, the internet has kind of displaced a lot of that, or well, maybe it hasn't. There's just certain kinds of pieces of information. So-and-so and so-and-so were in the same class, and it can really kind of steer you, whether it's genealogy or just simply looking into your community, what your neighborhood was like 30, 40, 50, 70 years ago.
Right,
Yeah.
right. For example, we've got, you can see pictures of local restaurateurs when they were in 4th grade. Things like that. It's just
Everybody was
fun.
a kid once.
Oh, yeah.
And
you mentioned the internet. I think it's making it easier because somebody in Montana can look through our archives.
Right.
And that's just great. And our yearbooks are such that it looks like you're paging through. Mm-hmm. The pages turn. It's just really well done.
Yeah. Do you take, currently, I did kind of ask you about this, but more recent documentation, and I'm thinking specifically of here we have in the past, Yavapai Broadcasting has come out to the parade, the kids' parade, and the Christmas activities, and videotaped that. Is there a video and or audio archive? Are you building?
We have an archive of oral histories. We have all our First Fridays are filmed. They're available on the website. I would have to ask and get back to you. I bet we would. I bet we would take the parades because, first off, they're a riot.
Yeah.
And second, you get to see how competitive kids are. I remember one parade. It was just the best. We had quit allowing large animals. So and a lot of people show up on their ponies, their horses.
Right.
We had people bring their painted sheep.
Yeah.
And we had to turn them away. And so this one girl, after the parade was over, she came cruising down the street on her mule with flags all over the place, and she just made her own parade.
Yeah, I don't need to be a part of this. I've got my own.
It's just a great event. So I bet we would.
That's adorable. Is what that actually is. When you mention oral histories, enlighten our listeners what you mean by that.
Sure. For example, what was Jess's last name? I'm gonna get demerits for this.
Jess W.
Valdez.
Okay, there you go.
We've got things that he taped. We've got just the museum would send a volunteer to sit and talk to somebody because that resource is not going to be around forever.
Right.
And not all of them are on our website, but we have all the tapes and so forth, and we're working towards that. So the oral histories, the First Fridays, there's also these little slideshows that our volunteers have done. They're narrated. You mentioned that you like to look at pictures. Well, there's the golf course, the dance pavilion, all that is in our little archives or our film clips. Yeah. There's half a dozen or so.
Yeah.
So they're just fun.
We've been in our house. This December will be 30 years. Mm-hmm. And when we moved in, we had a couple of old timers, and I think I can politely say that Matt Peckrich and Jim Thornton. And one lived behind me, and one lived in front of me, and both gentlemen have passed. Lovely fellows, couldn't have been better neighbors or friends, and they sat all day on our back patio and just talked and told stories, and it was extraordinary. We had guests, we had family from out of town, people who really had no investment in Clarkdale per se, compelled listening to these two guys just talk about the stories. They were talking about the softball teams they coached.
Sure.
Just on and on and on. And you sometimes, until you tap into it, you don't realize how valuable that kind of thing, can be in the modern day.
One thing you mentioned, Matt. Matt was the founder of the 1012 Lounge in Clarkdale.
Right.
And on the restroom doors were these beautiful silhouettes. And the museum has those. Yeah. Now, those were donated to us, the originals. Yeah. So things like that, mentioning Matt just puts a smile on a lot of our faces.
Yes, it always did for us as well.
Yeah.
Let's take a short break. Lisa O'Neill is here, a board member with the Clarkdale Historical Society Museum. We'll come back and wrap it up after this.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Service for over 25 years and continues to serve the communities in northern Arizona. Jackson Hewitt is here to help you file your personal taxes. As laws and situations change, your local Jackson Hewitt Tax Service professional stays updated to serve you. Drop off or make an in-person appointment. In Flagstaff, call 213-8626. That's 213-8626. That's 213-8626.
The award-winning experts at Verde Solaire Services offer the trusted carrier products that help you customize a solution to fit your budget. Verde Solaire is a family-owned business serving the Verde Valley for 38 years with the carrier products you can rely on. Carrier AC systems are trusted to bring energy-efficient, quiet, consistent comfort. Call 928-567-5315 for a free assessment of your AC and air quality needs. Verde Solaire Services, online at verdesolaire.com, a factory-authorized carrier dealer.
Don't let concerns about today's events derail your long-term financial strategy. Hi, I'm Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Matthias Sandoval, and I'm here to help. We can work together to understand the impact of these events and make sure your goals are top of mind. While you can't control the market volatility, we'll focus on what you can control. We can connect in several virtual ways. Start by giving me a call at 634-1044.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Again, the First Friday series continues. The next one coming up on Labor Day weekend on Friday of Labor Day weekend, September 2nd. The guest, Furman Estrada, talking about the Alvarez Ranch and all kinds of interesting things. The website is clarkdalemuseum.org. If I want to find out about volunteering, do I go to the website? Is there a phone number? What's the best way to do that?
You can go to the website. There's a button for donations. You do have to be a member to volunteer.
Okay.
So you can join from the website. There's also our email, which is so difficult, info@clarkdalemuseum.org.
Okay.
Send us an email. You will be gratefully answered as soon as we can.
Get the ball rolling. Simply
Absolutely.
go into the website and it'll go from there.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, Lisa, we appreciate what you do, what the organization, what the society does, and with an eye, one foot in the past, we look to the future and the terrific things that are going to be happening, especially in October with the soft opening and getting that up again. So thank you much for what you do and what the society does.
Well, thank you so much for having us, and we will come back anytime.
Terrific. It's Countywide. I'm Brad Miller, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. Each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting Station.